When you are a professional stand-up, the most common question people ask is, what's the best heckle you ever had? The second most common question is whether you're a full-time stand-up or a contributing member of society who does open mics a few times a year. People want to know if they're talking to a bold hobbyist or a true weirdo, and fair enough. It's bad business to puncture popular myths, but I find confirming people's cheerful misapprehensions, even when the misapprehensions benefit me personally, to be total agony. So here we go. In fact, I had to learn to stop correcting people when they claimed my career was doing better than it was. These were people who I wanted to think I was doing well. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with me? Let them think the good thing, as long as it's not something provably false. I mean, you don't want to look like a liar. I'm stressed thinking about it. Anyway, the terrible truth is that 99% of heckles are absolute dogshit. If the public was truly consistently funny, there would be no demand for stand-up. Everyone would just sit around the dinner table being spectacularly witty, like characters in an American sitcom. Every now and then, a comedian will tell an anecdote about a particularly witty audience member or someone out in public, often on a bus. Generally, these stories are outright fiction. The comedian has imagined something witty for a given situation and has contrived to put their own carefully honed words into a random mouth, thereby boosting the perceived funniness of the comment. A filthy insult from someone who spent days writing it is embarrassing, but it's delightful off the cuff from a kindly pensioner. Context is everything, and sometimes comedians make up the context or spice up the disappointing, realistic dialogue that the public provided. Warning signs that the heckle story you are hearing is bullshit are the use of any phrase such as a voice from the back, clear as a bell, quick as a flash, any reference to a precocious child or an eccentric pensioner, or the story taking place in Glasgow or Liverpool, two cities that are, rightly or wrongly, obsessed with their own reputations as citadels of wit. My own experiences of heckles is that they are generally committed by the sort of men who make awkward, ill-judged remarks in WhatsApp groups, or the funniest bloke in the office. Men heckle to prove something about themselves to their social group and to test the comedian. So even if they lose the battle of wits, it was only as part of demonstrating their authority as examiner. They don't generally want to destroy the gig, but they do want to spray their scent on the evening as a whole. Women do sometimes heckle, but are generally doing so because they are sincerely, personally offended by the comedian and wish to destroy them, if not derail the whole show. Ask any comedian if stag do's or hen do's are worse, you will see. Both men and women will also heckle when paralytically drunk, but these are more noises than words, and so are useless for comedic purposes. Trying to be witty in response to a senseless howl is like quoting Oscar Wilde at a barking dog. So, caveats aside, this is the story of the best heckle I have ever had. The year was 2022. The gig was called Comedy Den. It was a small hipster night in the basement of a Bristol craft beer bar, run by the comedian Bert Williamson. I was headlining both evening shows. At the later show, I was on stage at something like 11 o'clock on a Friday, so everyone was quite boozed. Some fans of the podcast I do with Phil Wang were in, and the small basement crowd of about 40 people was friendly and even a little conversational. It's not safe for comedians to admit that sometimes we like a slightly conversational crowd, because only the wrong people take that as encouragement. It's like when a single woman complains that men don't approach women these days. The sort of man who leaps on that suggestion like a hungry toad is not the man she meant. Anyway, the crowd was the good kind of drunk and the good kind of responsive. The two things you need to know for the heckle to make sense. The MC had talked to an audience member who was studying the fall of the Roman Republic and introduced me as a history buff. I had then come on stage and established my nerd credentials by reciting some facts about the fall of the Roman Republic, saying, "You see, I'm just as much of a nerd as you were promised." Secondly, the material I was doing was new material written for my show, Why Can't I Just Enjoy Things? All the material was focused on either my social failures or areas where I did not gel with most people.